Ruchika, I was telling Manan, we will be focusing on two question types today. Both of these question types, you guys have not had much of a chance to practice in your previous sessions. So it is quite important for you as well. So we're going to be focusing on the vector questions pertaining to vector algebra. Okay. So we have divided the vector questions on vector algebra into two distinct categories. In the first one, question type number 14, typically here you will be given certain condition about certain vectors and you'll be asked to determine the angle between the vectors. In the question type number 15, you will be given some other either identities that you have to prove or some other questions besides the angle between the vectors. Okay, so let's jump into the angle between the vectors. And in the yesterday's class, one thing that I finished off with was one of the identity that is quite helpful when trying to determine angle between the vectors is the simple relation that the magnitude of a vector A can be written as. So can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the magnitude of the vector A if A is some vector, let's say AXI cap plus AYJ cap plus AZK cap. So this is called the unit vector notation as we are writing writing the vector A in terms of the unit vectors along X, Y, and Z. Now the magnitude of the vector A, you guys are aware, is simply AX square plus AY square plus AZ square. Now the identity that I want to talk about is not this one, but rather the fact that amplitude of A square can be written as A dot A. Once again, recall the scalar product of two vectors is nothing but magnitude of the two vectors times cosine of angle between them. If I write A dot A, what I get is A square. So you can write the magnitude by simply writing A or by using this kind of a notation. Okay. Now, if I were to write A as sum of two vectors, say B plus C, then even this would be correct, no? I wonder what's going on. I think there is some problem here. So B plus C, correct? Now, the one that I just wrote is really more helpful. Okay. So let's take this example, which is, I believe, a question from JEE Main in the last couple of years. The question is, if you are given that the two vectors P plus Q, their sum is equals to R vector, and you are given that the magnitude of P vector is equals to the magnitude of the R vector, the question then says, what's the angle that the resultant of 2P and Q, right? So let's say this was P vector, this was my some Q vector, right? So 2P would be in the same direction as P vector. So what is this angle theta, right? Now you can actually try and approach it from the geometrical standpoint as well, but let's try and see if we can use this approach to figure that angle out. Right? So what are we given? P is equals to R, so I can write this as P is equals to, because R is nothing but P plus Q, so I can write this as P plus Q. If I square the two sides, then I can write P vector dotted with P vector is equals to P plus Q dotted with P plus Q. Now, if you open this up, this is P dot P plus 2 times P dot Q plus Q dot Q. P dot P you can cancel out. So what do you get here? So if I were to take Q out, so I get 2P plus Q. By the way, I misrepresented. That's not what they're asking, right? So once again, this is not what they're asking. They're asking what is the angle that the vector 2P plus Q, 2P plus Q, this is, let's say, 2P plus Q. What is this angle they're asking? Correct? So now, if you see that the 2P plus Q dotted with Q vector is 0. So what does that tell us? That the two vectors are perpendicular to each other?
Yes, sir.
Between them is 90 degrees. Okay. So now today's target, if you guys can help me get there, is we would like to finish off 20 questions on vectors. Around 10 questions wherein you'll be asked to determine the angle between the vectors, and then another 10 questions requiring the use of general vector algebra. Okay, so let's get started. So we'll start, only we'll have the JEE mains question here, so let's begin. Chavi beta, welcome. Don't mind my scribbling here on the right side. You carry on with your math. The reason I'm going to scribble on it so that we save time towards the end.
Sir, is it D?
D, okay. D is in Delhi or B is in Bombay, beta?
Sir, D as in Delhi. Sir, I found my mistake.
Okay, बेटा. The cameras on. तो बेटा मनन, छवि,
Certainly.
आगे चले बेटा.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ravi, beta, just as a quick confirmation, you are okay with the last one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, are we okay?
Sir, both the statements are true.
Both the statements are true. Okay. So let's talk about the approach then, beta. Manan, Chavi. Yes, Ruchika, beta. How did you approach it?
Sir, if we look at it carefully, A is P plus Q. So, sir, A will be under root of P square plus Q square since cos theta will be 0. And similarly, even B will be under root of P square plus Q square. And then, sir, I just took out the mod of A plus B and A minus B and equated them.
Sorry, beta. Just take one step back. So you said the angle theta 1 when they act at an angle theta 1, right? When the angle between. Yes.
Sir, generally, A का magnitude is magnitude of P plus Q.
Yeah.
So, sir, P plus Q will be P square plus Q square plus 2PQ into cos theta 1 in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, cos 90 in this case, not theta 1. So, sir, cos 90 will be 0. So, A का magnitude will be under root of P square plus Q square.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, similarly, even B का magnitude will be under root of P square plus Q square.
Mm-hmm.
So, sir, A plus B will be A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta 1.
A square plus B square.
Yes, sir. So, now we are taking out A plus B.
Okay.
So, sir, A plus B will be under root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta 1. And then, sir, we can substitute the values of A and B. and similarly, and then we can equate to under root 3 p square plus q square, and similarly, sir, we can get the equation of a minus b.
Okay. Shavi? Manan? Yes, beta?
Yes, sir, it's done.
Start.
Yes.
Just talk me through the approach, please. Shavi, beta, you say it in your words.
So what I did was first I took the magnitude of A and B,
Mm-hmm.
and like I took the
Looks like we lost the connection. Let me reshare my screen here. Give me a quick second. But just a quick one. So just tell me, where is this leading us? Is this leading us in the wrong direction, or is this a plus b would be nothing but 2p?
सर मैंने सर डिफरेंट वे में करा है.
अच्छा बेटा, बताएं कैसे किया है.
सर अगर P and Q are perpendicular, sir, then sir magnitude of A equals to magnitude of B equals to square root P square plus Q square.
Mhm.
सर फिर A और B का भी हमें सर वेक्टर सम कराना है सर, तो फिर वो हो जाएगा उसका रिजल्टेंट से स्क्वायर रूट A स्क्वायर प्लस B स्क्वायर प्लस 2AB cos थीटा. सर उसमें एक थीटा 1 और थीटा निकल जाएगा फिर सर इक्वेट कर दो.
Right. So आपने कहा this is your p plus q, this is your p minus q, and then you said if I were to take the resultant of these two, so if I were to just quickly move up, the resultant is here. If this angle is theta, then this angle is your pi minus theta, and then you can write the expression for the resultant r. So you can say resultant is this is, let's say this is your a, this is your vector b, then this will be this is b here. So r square is equals to a square plus b square, in this case plus 2ab cos of theta 1. That's what you have done, beta? Is that how you have done it? Manan?
Yes sir.
Okay. Chika, beta, just tell me one thing. So if I look at this vector A, I wrote this as P plus Q vector. That is correct, right? And B is P minus Q vector. Their resultant vector would be A vector plus B vector. Correct? I can write it like that. A vector plus B vector is.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you write it like this becomes equals to 2p or 2p square.
Sir, I did it through that method also, but I got stuck. I'm not sure where. So, sir, I tried a different approach and got the answer.
Sure, sure, sure. So we just talked about the other approach, but I would like for us to understand what's going wrong with this method as well. Um, so let's take a look at it carefully. So Manan, Chavi. So A, I've defined this as P plus Q vector, and B is P minus Q vector. Now, the resultant of the two vectors, right? So we're talking about resultant means the sum of the two vectors, right? The sum of the two vectors in this case would be 2P, correct? So if we do it like this, then what does it tell us? Something is aloof here. So we just want to find out where the problem is. So 2P square is equals to 3P square plus U square. But this is interesting. A plus B, right? We know this vector is A and this vector is B. We know the resultant is along P, right? Resultant is along P. And of course, this is will be equals to 2P, right? So 4P square is equals to 3P square plus 3Q square. Or I can say P square is equals to 3Q square. But this is interesting. So if I look at the other one, what does it give us? So it cannot be, we cannot have that. So how can the relationship swing like this? So where are we going wrong? So if it is between, I see. Okay. So when the angle is theta 1, then we have this relationship between P and Q. If the angle is theta 2, then we will have a slightly different relationship between the magnitude of P and Q, which makes sense, right? Which makes sense because after all, the angle theta, which is this plus this angle, or rather I should say this angle, this was my P vector, this was my Q vector, this is P plus Q vector, and this is P minus Q vector. Now this angle will depend on their relative magnitudes of P and Q, relative magnitudes of P and Q. Of course, if the magnitudes are, let's say Q is only this much, right? Q is only this much. Let me change the color. Then of course you will have a different angle between the resultant. Resultant would be here. You will have a different angle. Correct? No? But now that you have, so Ruchika, I just want to make sure that you guys don't feel stuck if you got into the situation. Let's say if you approach through this way, this is what you get when the angle is theta 1. Similarly, you will get another relationship for theta 2. Okay. Now, we are interested more in trying to figure out the angle theta 1. So let's see what this theta 1 is. So this angle, let's look at it carefully. This is P, this is Q, and this is minus Q. This angle is theta by 2. Yes, beta? This angle is theta by 2, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you look at the tan of theta by 2, what is tan of theta by 2? Tan of theta by 2 is Q by P. Now here in this one, you got the relationship between magnitude of P and magnitude of Q. What is that relationship? P is equals to square root 3Q. For the other one, let's just quickly do that as well. You will again get 4P square. This time it will be 2P square plus 2Q square. or we get P is equals to Q, right? Magnitude of P is equals to magnitude of Q. So in case of theta 1, tan theta 1 by 2 is equals to, what is Q by P? 1 by root 3. Then what is theta 1 by 2? What is 1 by root 3 beta? Where tan 30 is 1 by root 2.
Yes, 7 by root 3.
Right? So this is 30. The theta 1 is 60. Now let's look at the other one. Tan theta 2 by 2 is 1 because we have P plus P equals to Q in the second scenario. And then your angle would be
90 degrees.
This is the alternate approach. Both are equally good. Let's move forward. The angle between vectors A and A minus B is how much?
So +1/2.
Are you helping me there?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I was going slow for just to kind of give you guys time to do your thing. So let's figure this out. So what do we get? Root 3. The answer is in 10. So I'm going to bring it in 10. This is 2a by b minus 1. So 2a minus b by b. Or I can say 10 beta root 3b divided by 2a minus b. And beta is tangent inverse. Root 3b by 2a minus b. Let's see which one seems like it's.
Sir, could we do it through another method because I got the same result through this other
Yeah.
method?
Yes, beta. Please do share the method.
Sir, what if we draw a perpendicular from the point of intersection of minus b and a minus b on a vector?
Okay, so let me remove all this. So from the intersection, this point, this intersection,
No, sir, the other intersection.
or this one.
So it's the below one, I guess. So if we draw a perpendicular on A,
Yep.
so then the length we get, the height we get is b sine 60. The height of this perpendicular.
In terms of?
So in terms of b.
B. In terms of B is?
B sine 60.
B sine 60, okay. And then you said tangent of beta is equals to this.
So tangent of beta will be b sine 60 upon a minus b cos 60.
Okay.
So sir, I got the same answer.
But we do realize that they all come from the same origin, no?
Yes.
Sine law is, if you were to prove the sine law, that's how you would do it, no matter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everybody's okay?
Yes, sir.
How do we just quickly prove the sine law for me, please? So this is angle A, this is angle B, this is angle C, this is A, this is B, this is C. So Ruchika, this is, I can write this as C sine beta and C sine B, or I can write this as B sine C. That is sine B by B is sine C by C.
So ऐसे फिर तीनों sides पे कर सकते हैं.
Exactly. But your method is not very different from what we are doing here. You went to the basics and we just went ahead and used the sine. That's all. But it's one
सर परपेंडिकुलर ड्रॉप करना ज्यादा डायरेक्टली आता है सर माइंड में सर क्योंकि tan बीटा सर तो फिर राइट एंगल ट्रायंगल होना चाहिए फिर.
I didn't get the last part, but I did not.
सर बीटा में सर ऑप्शंस में tan इनवर्स है सर तो माइंड में आता है सर कि राइट एंगल ट्रायंगल बनाना है.
I see. Okay. Got it. Let's move on to the next one. We'll need to, don't let me push you if I say, let's pick up the speed. Don't worry about it. Do at your own pace. It's important to get comfortable with this algebra. This is very much similar to the first question that we did. This is a fairly standard approach here, okay? If you guys are okay, we can skip it. Let me just quickly, let's do it together. So I'll do it and then you guys can pitch in fact, help me do it faster. And the magnitude, let's call it alpha. So I can write this as dot product of x minus y with x minus y. Right hand side, I can write x plus y dotted with x plus y. Now, if you use the fact that the magnitude of x and y is say alpha, then you will have alpha square plus alpha square minus 2 alpha square cos of angle between the two will be equals to n square alpha square plus alpha square plus 2 alpha square cos of angle between them, which is exactly what we did in the very first one. So what do you get here?
So 1 minus cos theta.
1 minus cos theta. They're trying to find angle theta, guys, is equals to n square 1 plus cos theta. The rest of the math I'll not do. It's fairly obvious what to do from now, from here. So let's move ahead. Let's take a look at the next one. Same question, right? So we can skip it.
Yes, sir.
So something is wrong with the answer. No, something is wrong. Sorry, the answer does have n square and
Sir, 180 degree.
Yes, it's the 180 degrees.
180 degrees.
Yes, sir.
Do as well.
Yes, sir. लेकिन सर वो इक्वालिटी साइन नहीं है वहाँ पर.
Excellent. So it could be 0 or 180, but in the permissible range, 0 is not part of the allowed set of values for theta. Hence the answer is 180 degrees. Why is this, by the way? So let's look at this P, this is Q.
So null vector आ जाएगा.
Right, it should be null vector because P cross Q would be this vector. Q cross P would be this vector. If the two vectors are the same, they have to be the null vectors, right? They have to be the null vectors. Null vectors means that the P cross Q must be 0, right? So P cross Q must be 0. So when is it 0? P cross Q? What is P cross Q? P cross Q is PQ sine of angle between them. This will be 0 when sine theta is equals to 0. And where is sine theta equals to 0? In this range, it will be 180 degrees. Okay, let's move on. Next one. This is the one that I solved in the beginning, the one that I was talking about. That's this question. Yes, we are clear. No, we don't need to do that. So in the beginning of the class, I took an example at the top. So let me just scroll up. So this example at the top is this question in 2020, JEE in 2020. So we can move ahead now. Okay.
और ये भी हो गया.
ये भी हो गया? By the way, me scribbling down here, is that causing a distraction for you guys? If yes, then I'll stop it. Is this distracting you guys?
सर वो 4 क्यू स्क्वायर नहीं था?
Yes, beta. That's why it's 36.
सर 120 आ रहा है.
120 are okay.
सर लेकिन क्यू तो सर 6f में है ना?
Right, but I have, instead of writing it as q dash square, I've written it as 2q square.
ओके सर.
Okay. Semi beta, you're okay? But I'll need confirmation before we can move on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are done with this. Now let's get on with the questions wherein uh, you will require, some questions will require you to deal with the graphical representation of the vectors. Um, uh, and remember that um, you can write the, for example, if you have some of these vectors. In fact, let me take an example just to make the point of what I'm trying to make here. In fact, let me just read through this. So we have talked about the unit vector notation and the amplitude there. We talked about the scalar product. We talked about the angle between the vectors, which we already discussed. Then it says, now in some questions, you will be given the vectors in the 2D graphical representation, and you'll be asked to determine the sum of the vectors, not all the vectors, but the addition of some vectors. Here, triangle log vector addition might come in handy to simplify the given expression for sum of vectors. So let's see what we mean here. Let's start with some fun, easy questions. This is JEE Main 2022 question from the June attempt.
तो इसका सी होगा.
Okay.
Yes, this is yoga.
Cross product of a vector with itself is 0. Why? Because it will be a magnitude wise, it will be a sine of angle between the two vectors. Now it's the same vectors, so they are parallel. Angle is 0, hence it is 0.
तो इसमें वैसे एक ही कंपोनेंट से आंसर आता है.
Sorry, but एक ही, say one more time, beta.
सर एक ही कंपोनेंट से आंसर आ जाएगा.
Okay, because all are different in the answers. You're absolutely right. You don't need to pursue both, just pursue one, let's say along the x-axis.
सर ये आ गया.
ये आ गया. Okay.
So the 10 minus 2.5 into root 3 minus root 2 आ जाएगा.
Okay. Given here root 3 is 1.7 and root 2 is 1.4. So let's stick to that. So what do you get? So minus 5 root 3 is
So इनमें से 5 कॉमन लेंगे तो ज़्यादा इजी होगा.
yes, that is true. That is true, beta. Since I have started like this, so let me just finish it off. The 27 minus 8.5, that'll be
So 19.5.
18.
Sorry, 18.5.
18. Okay. Shall we move on? Ruchika, Chavi, beta, can we move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The magnitude of vector OA, OB, and OC in the given figure are equal. The direction of OA plus OB minus OC with the x-axis will be how much?
सर एक बार क्वेश्चन फिर से दिखा दो ऊपर.
Sorry, beta. The magnitudes of these two vectors, the three vectors are the same.
Yes, sir.
OA plus OB minus OC.
Sir, B option.
Yeah.
सर इसमें सर रेसिप्रोकल है ना?
I've done the reciprocal now.
अच्छा यस सर.
Shall we beta all well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Sir, A गलत हो जाएगा, R से हो जाएगा.
What is it, beta?
Sir, A will be correct, assertion will be correct, and sir, assertion will be false and reason will be correct.
Assertion is false, reason is correct.
Yes, sir.
So let's just quickly see how do we check this out. AB plus EC plus AD in terms of AO, OB, and OC. So let's quickly write our AB. AB को कैसे लिख सकते हैं बेटा? We can write it like this.
So can't we write as OB minus OA?
Just give me a second, beta. So I can write this as AO. It says OB. Sorry, mine was correct earlier. So AB I can write this as AO plus OB. What is AC? AC can be written as AO plus OC. What is AD? 2 times AO. If you add the 3 together,
Sir, I found a mistake. Both the statements will be correct.
both the statements will be correct.
सर तो फिर ये करेक्ट एक्सप्लेनेशन भी होगा.
It's polygon law. Yes, of course, we are using the polygon law. No? This is a triangle law. The polygon law is the more generic law. generic way of saying it. So yes, it is a correct explanation for A as well. The R is not the correct explanation for A. AB plus BC plus CD. AB plus BC plus CD. They are saying whether using this can we prove that?
तो थोड़ा बहुत तो सर यूज करा है.
It's kind of tricky here. Wow. Even I didn't pay close attention to what this AB plus BC plus CD was giving us, but we are using the polygon law, the triangle law. Okay. This is one of
ऐसा लेकिन सर ये रिजल्ट यूज नहीं हुआ ना.
Yeah, I think that's what they meant to say, that you have to use this result, and we have not used this result. This is one of those questions when in the exam, if it comes to that, then just stop and pay maybe a 30 seconds attention to what they are trying to say. Okay, when the options are so close. Let's move on to the next one. Chavi Bita, Ruchika, all well? Okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Chavi Bita, you're okay now?
So I didn't understand the last part.
Oh, you do not? Oh, Bita, definitely stop me. Okay. Let's go back. The last part was when I was doing it, or are you talking about this reason R?
The R.
R, okay. Let me just. So what they are saying is this plus this plus this is AD vector. Yes, we know that. Yes, no?
Yeah, sure.
And AD is nothing but 2A. This is correct. But, and I'll buy into what Manan is saying, that we actually have not used this result directly into solving, into proving this. That's why option B is given to be correct. That is, both are correct, but R is not the correct explanation for assertion. It's one of those questions where you think you have solved the problem, but if we don't pay close attention to the wording, then we may get it wrong. So attention to wording in JEE Mains is very important, because questions may not be very difficult, but we have to pay attention to what they are trying to say, or what they're asking. Okay. This should be fairly simple and straightforward. Can I participate with you guys? Can I draw the arrows? It's actually, sorry. Number 4. Would you guys agree that C is equals to A plus B? So A plus B.
तो C और 1 मैच होते हैं.
C and 1. So B is A plus C. That is correct. A is B plus C. A is B plus C.
सर लास्ट वाला 2 से मैच होता है.
Yes. Sum of all the 3 vectors is 0. Okay. All okay, no? Ruchika, okay, beta?
Yes, sir.
The image may not have been very clear to read. So that's why I just kind of volunteered to solve this one. It was fairly straightforward. But if you still want to read it, you can actually go back and look at this question at home. A and B are two vectors satisfying the relation this, and the value of A minus B vector is what? Value of A minus B vector will be how much?
Sir, B.
Everybody agrees?
Yes, sir.
Let me do this one. Let's see.
Yes, sir.
Ravi beta or Ruchika beta, you guys can correct me in mind. So this is equals to square root of A minus B dotted with A minus B.
सर इसमें थीटा निकाल के भी कर सकते हैं ना?
Theta is 45 degrees, right?
Yes, sir.
E cos theta is equals to AB sine theta. So tan theta is 1. Theta is equals to 45 degrees. What you have is these two vectors. The angle between them, A minus B. If this is A, this is B, this angle is 45. Then for minus B is this vector. So the angle is 180 minus 45. That is how much? 90 plus 35, 135. Correct, no? The resultant vector then is A square. Resultant vector square is equals to A square plus B square plus 2AB cos of 135. Cos of 135 would be minus sine of 45. That comes out to be A square plus B square minus square root 2AB. So R is square root of that.
सर इसमें सर 135 में अगर सर A plus minus B करते हैं सर उससे क्या होगा?
Right. So by the way, here also it's the same thing, no? So if you open it up, so A dot A squared, B dot B squared, minus 2A dot B, that is AB cos of 45.
Yes, sir.
One and the same thing?
Yes, sir.
This relation is pretty powerful actually. The A minus B mod is equals to square root of A minus B vector dotted with A minus B vector, right? So that's what we've been practicing. By the way, we have overshot our time, so it's 6:36. Would you guys like to stop and attempt these 4 questions, 7, 8, and JEE advanced questions at home, and then tell me if you guys have any difficulties tomorrow? Or would you guys like to continue? Ruchika, would you like to continue, or you have other engagement with her?
Sir, either way is fine with me.
Either way is fine. Chavi beta, do you want to carry on for another maybe 10 minutes?
Yes, sir. That's fine with me.
Wow, you guys are pretty generous. I was hoping somebody will say, sir, enough is enough. We got to bail out. Manan, you're okay? Then let's carry on, beta. Manan, you're okay? Na, beta?
Yes, sir. Yes.
We have other class at 8 o'clock, so just watch out. Okay. Anyway, carry on, please. Don't let the question fool you by giving you an impression that it's way too easy to believe. Sometimes the questions are, especially in JMeans. If you think the question is darn simple, then it is. Okay, so let me just jump in. So the velocity vector after 2 seconds is what? 4 into 0.5 is 2 I cap.
तो +6 जाएगा +9 जाएगा सर इसमें डायरेक्शन को सेंस कर सकते हैं
Direction, they're asking from along the direction with the x-axis or the y-axis, right? So how do we do it? So if it's in the 3 coordinates,
so cos alpha equals to ax upon square root a upon r vector.
let's say this is your v vector. You want to determine this angle, right? So which angle is this, Peter? This would be more suited if you were to try and find the angle with the z-axis, but they're asking about x-axis. So you want to figure out this angle, this angle. So projection along this projection, let me use a different color.
So az upon ax
Right.
equals to tan theta.
This is your x vector, so 2i, 2, and they're asking this angle, So
it is 911.
So 2 divided by the magnitude of v. Correct, Namita?
Yes, sir.
Ruchika?
Yes, sir.
So लेकिन magnitude of it is वो so vector ही नहीं होता
Just help me out here. This would be
so 11 आता है
11 आया था.
So मुझे ये वाला part समझ नहीं आया.
अच्छा बेटा. We're talking about 3-dimensional vector, and we want to find out the angle that they make. It says direction of the mosquito after 2 seconds. So this much tan inverse, this much from the x-axis. Okay. So the v vector, the velocity vector, is making what angle with the x-axis or with the y-axis? That's what they're trying to understand. Better?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me see if I can draw a different picture, a little bit bigger, broader. So let me even change my axis here, x, y, and z. Correct? Let's say this is my v vector. Let me not. Let's say this is the v vector. Right now, the vector will not make that much sense unless I start to draw its projections. Right, so this is, okay, so this is, I'm going to call it Vx, y, Vz. So this is your Vx, this is your Vy, this is your Vz. They're asking angle it makes with the axis. So this angle. Can you imagine it, Peter? Maybe it's. How about now? Can you see they're asking for this angle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So this vector is, so let's do it this way, because they're asking for tan, right? So this angle is, let's say, theta, right? So what I'm going to do is, okay. Hmm. How do I draw it? Let's explain it. Okay. So this is perpendicular.
Sir, I'm not getting either of the options correct.
Okay. So we'll just see Peter. So Peter, what is this? What is this side?
Instead of taking that side, so we can find out cos theta and then we can find out tan theta.
That's perfectly fine. That's equally good. Peter. So cos theta is 2 divided by 11. Correct, na beta?
Yes, sir.
What will be sine theta?
Sir, under root 117 by 11.
Let me just check if this was a bonus question. Oh, this is a bonus question. So there is an error they have made. You are right, Beta Ruchika, when you were doing it now. So root 117 by 2. So that is correct. Okay. Let me see if I can. So tomorrow, what I'll do is, Shavi, let me see if I can give you a better 3D view of these vectors in 3 dimensions so that you can understand it. If you want to Google it on your own, but are you clear which angle are we talking about? We're talking about the angle that the vector makes with the x-axis, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I got that.
The other way, if you want to just do it just algebraically, then we know the vector v. I plus 6j plus 9k. If you were to do v dot I, what will that give you? That'll give you magnitude of v and cos of angle between the two, right? And this will be v dot I simply to I cap. So I cap is the unit vector along the x direction, right? So this will give you 2 and v is 11, so cos theta is. If you want to do it algebraically. But it's also important to understand, at least get in your head how it all looks like in 3 dimensions. Building that ability now will be of significance. Clear, beta? आगे चलें?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's attempt this one. Use the tricks we used the polygon law of vector addition question.
Sir, is it B?
B. Okay. B is in Bombay, no, beta?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ruchika, beta, let me ask you how you approached it.
Sir, AC can be written as AB plus BC. So similarly, AD can be written as AB plus BC plus CD. And sir, we know that sir, EF is the opposite of AB. So EF can be written as minus AB. So जब हम सबका sum करेंगे, sir, mostly all of them will get cancelled. So we'll get 4 into AB plus BC plus CD plus DE. And so that is nothing but 4 times AE. And sir, हमें AO पता है तो AE will be double of AO.
Sure. Try from a different approach as well, beta. See if you can make it even more, if you can find something even more elegant to elegant way to approach it. Manan Chavi.
Sir, आ गए please.
Okay, so let me explain something here. So just see, there are different ways to approach it, but look at this one, right? AB plus AF is equals to AE. Now you might argue, sir, how did you come to conclude that BE is equals to AF? Well, if you look at AE is AB plus BF or AF plus FE, so you can look at it that way as well, right? But AB plus BE or AB plus AF is AE, AC plus AG. What is AG?
So वो भी यही होगा.
That is also AE. AD plus AH. AD plus AH is also equals to AE. That's another way to look at it, beta. But in any case, it's 4AE, and that's the correct answer there. Chavi, beta, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Beta, try and attempt this question. You will find some other elegant ways to do it, right? So there is no, so don't just take it for the way that I did it. You try and do it from your own. I'm sure you'll find even better arguments, quicker arguments to get to that. Two more questions. We are done there. So 2018 JEE advanced question. Take a look at it, please. Are you guys close? Have you found your way? If you have found your way, let me just quickly reiterate that, just in the interest of time, so that we can close it up in the next 5 minutes, please. Is it clear? Is it making sense? How are we going to approach it?
Yes, sir.
Same identity, Chavi. But I'll wait, Ruchika. I'll wait for you guys to confirm before I write it, I think.
Sir, it's clear.
It's clear. Chavi, beta.
Yes, sir, got it.
Do we need to do it like this, or do we do it even simpler than this? Is this approach the right approach? What I'm doing? Would that be? There's no right and wrong. Obviously, this is right, but could I have not just taken a plus b as simply 1 plus cos omega t, a I cap plus sine omega t j cap? Would
Yes.
that have worked the same way?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So
तो
here,
सर मॉडल सर तो फिर वन आ जाता है ए स्क्वायर कॉस ओमेगा टी प्लस ए स्क्वायर साइन ओमेगा टी.
right. So let's carry on with this approach. So we'll take 3a squared plus b squared minus 3a dot b. Now, instead of saying a dot b is ab, cosine of angle between the two vectors, and then you will have to figure out what's the cosine of the angle, what's the angle between the two vectors, right? So how do you find the angle between the two vectors? So rather, you are given those vectors in the unit vector notation, so we don't need to write them into a, b, cos theta format, right? You can simply find out a dot b, which is nothing but a square cos omega t. Would you guys agree? Now the magnitude of a vector is simply a. Magnitude of b vector is again simply a. Just confirm it for me, please. ऐसे ही ना? So then this becomes a square plus 2a square cos of omega t is equals to 3a square plus a square minus 3a square cos omega t. So we'll cancel out a square. So what do we have? So we'll get, so let me just do the quick math in my head. So it'll be 2 here. So it'll be 6 here. So I'm going to bring it, the 2 on the right hand side. So there'll be 4 left here. This will be minus 9a square cos omega t. This will be 2. And I'm doing something funny here. Why am I doing something funny here? Because this is minus 2ab. I don't know why I said minus 3ab. Sorry. That's why it is funny. Okay. So this will be 6 plus 2, 8. 8 is 8 cos omega t is 4. So cos omega t is 1 by 2. It says at time t equals to tau for the first time, starting from 0, right? So angle is increasing from 0 to some angle. What is this angle? When omega t becomes equals to pi by 3. So t is equals to pi by 3 omega. And omega
Sir, 2 seconds.
by 6. Two seconds. Maybe I spoiled this question for you guys by rushing it. It was a JEE advanced question. Maybe we should not have done that. So we'll stop it here. You guys should attempt this question. This is a 2017 question and looks like it's a fairly good question, right? So why don't you guys take 5 minutes after the class and finish this question off? Then we would have completed all the questions on vector algebra asked in JEE Mains and JEE Advanced, okay? But with that note, I'm gonna stop the broadcast here. And tomorrow, let's talk about tomorrow. What are we gonna cover tomorrow? So tomorrow we're gonna look at my intent is to try and pick up the pace now. So so let's see. So we are finishing off 14th and 15th. So tomorrow we'll be focusing on number 16, number 17, number 18, which is going to be an interesting one, and number 19, right? So be ready for it. Make sure that you guys are sharp during the class and you guys will have tons of fun. And we very well might include number 20 as well. So let's target from 16 to 20. Okay, 16 to 20. So 5 question types we're going to catch up. We're going to cover tomorrow. All about to do with the a lot of heavy use of relative motion. So again, we're not going to be dealing with acceleration, but rather motion in 2 dimensions, relative velocity of one particle moving in xy plane relative to the other particle, which is also moving in the xy plane. Alrighty, beta, you guys take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay?